key skills to learn basically for a developer. It is a good skill to have for sure. It gives you an upper hand at debugging the system and your applications. Sometimes you just don't know what's happening with your application, right? You're building a web application or something else, and then you just don't know what's happening. Or even for the what do you call, like in general purpose applications, you don't know what's happening, something is spinning around and then you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? So that's the reason you can debug the system using these commands in the terminal. And then you can deploy your servers and run commands for web application, all sorts of things in the terminal, and also look cool in front of your non-programmer friends. So in case you wanted to do that. So are all command line interfaces the same? The simple answer is no. We have different shells. A shell is nothing but a program which is run inside the terminal, and different operating systems have different shells. So again, the shell is an environment in which we run programs and then all sorts of program scripts inside it. There are different flavors of shell, just like there are different operating systems. Some examples of shell are bash shell, which is the default shell in many operating systems, and it is written by Brian Fox for the GNU project, which is the open source project. Recent versions of macOS, they come with ZSH, which is a newer version of the bash shell. Windows typically runs a Windows shell program. So, okay, any questions at this point?
No.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. So just to make things clear, once again, so the shell or the terminal that you run on different operating systems is different. That's one of the reasons we, some of the commands for, let's say, Windows and some of the commands for Mac would be completely different, which typically do the same job, right? Mac is basically built upon Linux operating systems. So most of the commands that run for Linux also run for Mac. So first things first, I would like you to all open the terminal. So whether you're running Windows or Mac OS, I am happy to help you through this. In Mac OS, you can simply open the Spotlight and type in terminal. And for Windows, I would suggest if you would use PowerShell, just because it makes my job easier, because some of the commands are same as Mac for that. And if you do not have PowerShell, you can always use the command line using the run program. So I would want to pause here for a moment and give you all time to open the terminal in all your systems. And please, once you're done with it, either tell it to me or post it in the chat that you're done opening the command line interface. And of course, let me know if you need any help with anything. Okay, moving on. I think most have the terminal open. So first things first, the very basic application of a terminal is to kind of work with the file system. The file system is nothing but how all the files and folders are arranged on your computer. In Linux terms, we call a folder a directory. So either ways, both things are the same. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the terminal on my end and then walk you all through with each one of these commands one by one. I hope you can see my terminal screen. So first things first, oops, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna type in ls. For Windows, this would be the dir command. Um, this basically lists all the current files and folders that are present in your current working directory. So again, so for Windows, this would be dir command. And within this, you can see all the folders that are there in my system. Of course, this would be different for your system. Another really handy command to know is pwd, which tells you the present working directory. For Windows, this would be cwd. CD brings you back to CD and then a specific folder name. For example, if I wanted to go into, let's say, the library. Excuse me. And then if I type in ls again, I can see all the files and folders which are inside the library folder for me.
So
Now, yeah, go ahead.
what is LS exactly again?
So ls basically is used to list all the files and folders in your current directory, in your current folder. So my current folder, for example, my current folder right now is library. I can tell this by this over here. So if I do an ls over here, this will tell all the files and folders that are contained inside the library folder. Is that clear?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, so we did a CD and then a directory name to go into a specific folder. So earlier I was in what? My home directory, and then I did an ls, and then I found out there was a directory called library. So I would be using folder and directory interchangeably, so don't get confused. Folder and directory are the same things. So I did a cd into the library folder. This is an equivalent of actually double clicking the library folder and going inside it. So you all saw that I could go back to the root directory over here. Now, if I wanted to create a new directory, then I would type in mkdir and then space the name of the directory name. Um, so let me do that quickly. So if I do an ls, I can see that this directory was created over here. The command to create, so let me go into this directory first, and then I did cd, and then I can see there's nothing inside this directory as of now. The command to create a new file would be touch space. Let me name this file hello.txt. So if I do this, I can see that this file was created. One of the common ways the terminal is used is to create shell scripts. I will get into that a little bit later. Right. So another command is echo hello world. This is basically, if you have done a little bit of programming, this kind of works like a print statement. So if I do this, and then pass it a string inside. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Just a second. There you go. So coming back to the presentation. All right. So this is basically what we did. Another command for removing the directory we created is rmdir. Sometimes if the directory contains another files or some other folders, it wouldn't let me directly delete the folder, I'm sorry. So usually the command to do that is, so for example, if I went back and if I do rmdir, the directory that I just created, it shows me that the directory is not empty, right? So for me to do that, I just run this command. Oops. And then we can see that it was removed. So these are one of the most common ways to go through the folder structure. Awesome. So is everybody on the same page with me, or do you all need some time to go through the commands again?
Are we gonna kind of practice them right here where it says first shell script?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm personally good.
Okay, that's good to know. Cool. So one of the common things that we do with the terminal is to write scripts. So scripts, again, if you were to run a program from a graphical user interface point of view, a script is that basically runs behind the scenes, right? So sometimes it is useful to type in your own script and then run it. So I am going to quickly help you through with writing your first script. Again, this is going to be a bit different for Windows and Linux-based systems. For Linux, you can use an editor called Vim. Oops. And for Linux, the script is actually called a bash script, right? Hopefully the program and everything would be the same. So if you guys want to follow along with me, you are welcome to do that. I am going to share my terminal again to show you how to do this. Awesome. So I am back to my root folder. Let me create a new directory. I'm just gonna name it. And then I'm gonna cd into that. I can see there's nothing inside it. So the same command touch will help me make a new file. So this time what I want to do is I want to name my file oops, okay. Let me name it hello world.sh simply because it's going to print out a basic hello world string. So if I see, I have a hello world.sh. Now, there are multiple editors that are available out there. So there is VI, there is Vim, there is Nano, there is gedit. So all these are the editors or text editors that you can use in your terminal. So of course, there are alternate ways of doing everything with the terminal. So just like with everything else, right? So, but the method I choose is to kind of use the terminal itself since we're learning the terminal, right? We could do this using any word processor or anything like that as well. But so the editor I'm using is Vim, and I'm just gonna simply type in. Oh yeah, so one common shortcut for if you don't want to type in the whole name of the file is just to type the first letter. And since I don't have any other files that start with an H over here, and I simply press tab, it'll give me the whole file name. If I do that, I'm taken to the Vim editor, right? So the Vim editor is a bit tricky the very first time that you're using it. Um, so there are a couple of rules to using it. The very first thing is that you can't type anything just like that. I need to press the I key to press the insert, and then now I can type whatever, right? So after doing that, I am gonna copy. So I will put this in the chat as well. Your enemy. All right. So as you can see, the first two lines, can you all open the chat real quick? The first two lines are the comments. So we put that with hashtag. And the last line is echo hello world, which is basically what we did a couple of minutes ago, right? So I just put that in there. And when you want to escape or exit this editor window, all you have to do is press escape and type in :WQ. So because this is the first time I'm writing something into this file, I type in WQ. If I was just to view this file, I would type in Q. Let's see what happens if I type in just Q. It says there has been changes, some write changes. So it won't let me type in :Q. So that's the reason I have to type in :WQ, W being for write. Pretty straightforward, right? So WQ and then exit. So now I can see that this file has been changed. So easy way to kind of look into the file without opening the editor is to use the cat command. So cat hello world.sh will show you what's inside the file. So this applies for any kind of file, all right? So next what I want to do is execute my file. Is everybody at the same page?
I'm kind of, I was just about to look up what is MKDIR.
Okay, did you want me to open that page real quick? Can you see it?
Okay, I got it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, of course. All right, so we're back to the terminal. The next thing we have to do is change the permissions for the file for us to be able to execute it. So this might sound tricky at first. What does changing the permissions mean, right? So every file in your computer has some permissions to it. There are two types of permissions. One is for security and the other is for execution. Okay, so security permissions, we're not bothered at the moment because that is something to do with networking and all that sort of things. But for editing a file, for executing a file, we need to be able to execute the file for a specific user. And that is not the case by default. So for you to change the permission, for you to be able to execute this file, and this, let me remind you, this you would come across a lot of the times when you're trying to debug something because you didn't have the right file permissions for a particular file, right? So no matter what sort of a programming or anything that you're doing with your computer, you will come across this in many of the Stack Overflow solutions, so as to speak. So I am going to put the command again in the chat. So this is what you want to run. Oops, just replace the hello world with the name of the file over here. So I think our file is hello world _sh. So yeah, this would be And once you run that, it changes the permission of the file. And after this, for us to run this file, again, if I do H and tab, it will give me the file name instantly. And then this basically executes the file. And remember, we had echo hello world inside the file. And that is what is happening over here. So just gonna put this command in here. Okay, cool. So yeah, that was your very first script. And let me know if you have any issues. I feel free to ask some questions. I would be happy to help you. If you have the hello world printed on your screen like this, just type in done in the chat and we'll be good. All right, moving on. This is a small inside joke regarding the Vim editor. So, well, the joke is nobody knows how to quit Vim. So, well, now you do. So, all right. So one of the most important applications of using a terminal is to install stuff, right? We've all been through this in our introduction to programming classes. We struggle installing Java or something else, and then we have to update the path variable and all sorts of those things. So what we are gonna do today is install Git in our terminal. So Git is a very important version control software that basically helps you to keep a track of what stage of development your application is in. So for example, you want to create a web application or a mobile application, and then you have like a Flutter project or you have an Angular project or anything, right? So it's not necessarily UI based, it could be anything, a backend project or any project at all, right? So a good practice always is to use Git to keep a track of how the code used to look like at a specific point of time. So let's say you implement something completely new into your application and it crashes, right? And you don't know what to do right now because you can't even pinpoint the problem. So the best way to go about this would have, if you had Git installed, so to go back to a previous stage that you saved, and then you can revert to that particular stage, right? So that's the application of Git, and we are going to learn how to install Git using the command line today. I am going to quickly share my other screen. Oops. All right, so this is the guide to installing Git. Of course, we go through this together. And so depending if you have Windows or Mac or Linux for that matter. So for Windows, the installation is a bit straightforward rather than Mac. So what you want to do is get the installer for Git and then download it, and then the installer will do the job for you. For people who have Mac, it's not that straightforward. And for Linux especially. So, okay. Let's go to the terminal. Well, one of the first things you do when you're trying to install a new software is to type in the name of the software, and depending on if you're running Windows or Mac, you can put in this command, right? So it shows me Git version 2.24.3 is already installed in my system. Well, it would vary on your system, but well, because it's already installed, right? But if it was not installed, then this would show me git command not found. Okay, so the first things we want to do is, as you can see over here, one of the ways to install it is using the brew install git, and then type in git version. I invite you all to install it on your own system, and feel free to interrupt me if you have any problems or anything like that.
So we just click on the link on the chat and then follow the instructions there.
Yes, so depending on if you're running Windows or Mac, you can just click on this installer button, which would kind of download the installer for you. And yeah, follow the instructions. Let me know if you have any problems with that.
Thank you.
Hmm? Is anyone using a Linux OS?
No, I used to in Linux. I had Ubuntu back in 2012, but I haven't touched Linux since then. I tried to install Gentoo for a little bit. That ended up a little bit of a disaster.
Yeah, things can be a little bit more tricky on that for sure.
Yeah.
It's a good learning experience though,
Oh yeah.
especially
No.
for the terminal. Yeah, yeah.
No. Once you learn how to manage Gentoo efficiently, I've seen uh, you can
Yeah.
essentially do like real life applications with it.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's the goal with learning the terminal as well, right? So there are so many things that you need to do, especially while installing stuff, setting the path and stuff like that, which you have to do it using the terminal. There's no other way. So yeah, it helps to know this kind of stuff for sure. All right, guys, I think we are running out of time for the workshop today. But if you have any issues with installing Git at all, feel free to kind of reach out to us on the Discord. And let me just put, oh, and before we go real quick, we have an upcoming event this week, which is tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's an intern panel where students at UTRGV who have done an internship previously will talk about their experience and all the good stuff. So be sure to drop by tomorrow for the intern panel workshop. Yeah, and then you can keep in touch through us, to us with this through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we are on Discord, of course. So you can use this link to connect with us on the Discord server, where we post most of our updates, and follow us on Instagram and all these social media to get updates and then be notified of our future events. In addition to the intern panel, we are planning to have an introduction to Git and GitHub, Git commands and GitHub workshop next week, sometime on 23rd, if I'm not wrong. So that would be a good continuation to our today's workshop. So you will get to know the basics of Git and really interesting stuff, cool things with Git, which is presented by Stephanie. So yeah, see you guys soon again. And please feel free to reach out to me or anybody else from the DSC team if you have any more questions regarding the installation or Git or even the terminal or whatever we discussed today, or if you'd like to get some more resources regarding terminal